lost for words. So welcome back to Steve White.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Now this poem was written by my wife gazing beyond the bottom of our garden. It's called One Lone Sycamore. I watch one magpie on one lone sycamore fanned out against the grey evening sky, in itself a world for different species. Before builders came, pile drilling, sycamores spread their branches, a tracery of twigs etched against red sunsets, following the sun and moon, raising our sights through the seasons, a universe for birds and squirrels. Swifts, beaks open on Top Gear flight, targeted insects swirling in the air above, nourishment for their mass exodus. The looming poplar fell mysteriously, a fire at the base of the weeping willow, screech of chainsaw before 6 a.m. Piles of wood chippings where sycamores were, more profit in paying fines than obeying protection orders, then tall houses and cramped flats. One lone sycamore left to pelt out seeds in defiance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. We're looking forward tremendously to hearing more from that collection on the 31st of October when you read with Kimberly Reeve. So we're looking forward to that. Really looking forward. So now we have the return of Leanne.
Yeah.
Again, I'll read in Chinese first, and then I'll read English afterwards. So this is a set of 3 haikus. 离开了家园，一艘船驶向大海，面对千层浪，逃离屠杀场，我们来找你避难，大门已关上。 在天堂门前，溺水婴儿背朝天，元首在哪儿 ？Our homeland we flee, setting out to sea. A ship breaks 1,000 waves. Escaping the war, in haven we have arrived, but the door is closed. At the gate of heaven, a baby's face in water. Where is helping hand?
Thank you. Those are faces you may recall from the first half. And now we have some readers who are reading for the first time this afternoon. They're going to read 3 poems each. And so first of all we ask John Hurley.
This is a child at a wake, if you can imagine an 8-year-old boy at a wake 7 decades ago. I noticed his brown boots were missing, his feet protruding from a shroud. I heard the hum of a well-known mantra, a rosary from a cymballed crowd. Crucifix clasped in calloused fingers, shaved and washed and so pristine, being made ready to meet his maker. I'd never seen him look so clean. In that room, there was deep sadness. His eyes were closed. I felt afraid. Should my exposure to this ritual for a little longer been delayed? Pray, Mother said, but I was elsewhere, thinking of the songs he sung. For as his hammer struck the anvil, you felt as if the church bells rung. The glowing fire and the clack of bellows, then crimson metal shaped to his will, the hiss of steel in water, the smell of hoof burn, a compliant horse just standing still. His old forge now it stands deserted, apron and tongs strewn on the floor, no flying sparks or smoking chimney, where once I heard the furnace roar. This is, sometimes I fall asleep by the fire, in my mind I dream a bit. This is Fireside Dreams. Fire watching can cause daydreams. I see that cottage by the pier, white-haired people in their twilight, love I've known from yesteryear. A puzzled look as she says welcome. She asks my name, but soon forgets. Knits a polo neck black jersey, with her needles clicked like castanets. Grandad sits at the head of table, looks through the window at his yawl. His rolling gait has turned to limping, no longer walks to the old Seawall. Wild waves dash around the headland, and the tides still ebb and flow. He still speaks of long-dead shipmates and the sailing ships of long ago. The rays of sun dance on the water. Yachts light twinkle nearby. The night draws shut her curtains. A ship sails out against the sky. Harvest moon shines on our village. Eye lamps quenched, a baby's cry. All asleep from labour's resting, rocked by the ocean's lullaby. Thank you. Sometimes I try still to do some hill walking. I don't go so far these days. This is maturity. I sometimes go hill walking, and narrow streams I try to leap. My mind still making promises my body cannot keep. On the bus I wink at ladies. I have never been discreet. I never even get a smile. They just give me their seat. I've read about maturity, and that wine improves with age. With my energy in short supply, what use is that at age? Of course, now in my twilight years, I should be risk averse. But there's something in my nature makes me silly and perverse. My complaints I hide from doctors, search the internet for clues, and always very cautious when I bend to lace my shoes. I have wrinkles neath my jawline, so I wear a polo neck. And despite all those anti-aging creams, I look a bloody wreck. I always glance at mirrors, but they never bring me joy. They show the lines and furrows. Reflections never lie. I hope for some renewal, but the logic says it's viral. Youth will not come round again. It's a bloody downward spiral.
Thank you very much, John. And Vaughan-Williams, please.
We used to have doors that were made of plaster, and they were held together with bits of string in the middle, elastic string in the middle. And if that broke, they split apart. Linnet. I dress her, pull up the knickers, iron the frock. I jab the head, the hair won't comb. The limbs snap off, The elastic quivers, breaks. A leg in my hand. The body is limbless. My mother repairs her, but her legs swivel. One day a finger snaps off. A chip in her curly head reveals grit. Linnet tells me the bit knocked off her nose was nothing. I try to straighten her knees, wish her eyes to open and shut, but they remain painted. She is stubborn, the way she looks out, a head full of thoughts. Resistance I admire. On return from summer holiday. The apple tree is laden, and in the unmown grass, fallen ones make scatterings of red. My teeth can't wait to crunch the sunned flesh. I'll not mind brown tunnelled bits the worms and grubs devour, as juice drips from my fingers. Apples pecked by birds are strewn inside the flower bed, some half hidden by plants, some lodged between rocks, straddled by untended flowers gone to seed. I search out an armful, cradle the crimson. Wind has blown the wayward tomato plant off the low wall where I left it, into the pond where it rests, lopsided on its plastic plate. I lift the gangly thing, whose fruit are dark green, thick-skinned, spliced and bulbous from uneven watering. They might make chutney. Resting on the plinth, half submerged, is not a clod of earth. It has two hooded eyes, flattened like parchment. The old frog stares up at me, pulsing. He is still with us. And reaching Easdale Tarn, I feel like a little bit of the mountains today. Reaching Easdale Tarn. I am the black surface of the tarn, gashed by slanting rain. I am hunched under a lichened rock, gulping watery colours. Bracken woman, her orange body reclining, daubed along the bounds, is buffeted this way and that. She rides the elements, her tussocks of grass and bracken spread like a rippling cloak on rocks that are her thighs. In my charting of this valley, I shall strive upwards, leaving the tarn with the woman, leaning into the wind, the path narrowing to give shelter, the rocks catching my boots, making me rest against the hardness, cold, wet, brittle. I enter the upper reaches that stretch to a field of cotton grass like 100 flags of truce. When I turn and look back, I see the rough glitter of granite, the moulded smoothness of limestone, shapes of rocks. I catch deep breaths. Above me stand peaks I shall never climb.
Thank you, Anne. I thoroughly recommend the collection Anne was reading from, which I've got a copy of, and it's a really good read, really strong poetry. And finally, our last open mic poet this afternoon, one of our Dodo favourites, of course, is Mr. Lantern Carrier.
Thank you, Patrick. The miracle of love. The day I tasted the miracle of love, I was enthralled by her sweetness and character. Soaring like an eagle on silvery wings, I saw her dancing in the firmament, her smiles and laughter filling the air with sweetest joy. At nights I kissed the lapis lazuli of an enchanting moonlight, heralding sunrise, caressing the beauty of my dreams. Daybreak summons the sweet lamp of my heart, scribbling verses to the majesty of light. King David's psalms whispers softly, the melody of the sparrow in my core. My spirit melts, bathing in the beatitudes of the one called Christ. My tongue becomes an artist, painting love songs to my lips, whose wine echoes the drunken sweetness of the soul. My London, my England. Her artistic beauty, the palace of her majesty, attests to her nobility and character. The quintessence of a symbolic red, white, and blue manifests the richness of her diversity and culture. Her parliament, not far from where Churchill stood, stirring her dauntless children unto greatness, stands as a profundity heart, offering its benevolence to its verdant green and distant lands. Her capacity is huge, covering her length and breadth, her spirit, to the music of 65 million souls. With greater plump, stateliness, and grandeur, she absorbs the rigors of her duties and daily commute. Cascading light onto her sports, she's boisterous, yet serene as a river, flowing unobtrusively with the gracefulness of the swan. Gone is her empire, yet she retains passionately her pride, singing the dauntless values of the unsung heroes which gave her life. My London is trendy, versatile, accommodating, offering her zest, her gratitude to the sacred steeples, the chimes of Big Ben that lies within her soul. My England is vast, opening her heart to the world, teaching the ever-transcendent song of progress. Thank you. I was commissioned to write 6 pieces for Black History Month. Starts next month. That is the 6th final piece. It's called A Dance from the River of Love. Splinters of untold suffering are not new to human history. The survival instinct in the animal kingdom has held even more sway in humans, due in part to a sophisticated or scholarly mind. In this game of life, adversity has dyed my tears in blood. The venom once left in the veins of the oppressed becomes the strychnine in the heart of the oppressor, and karma mercilessly uncoils like a dog's tail in this maze-like journey. The farmer reaps the harvest in accordance with his cultivation. Somewhere in that cycle, avarice and ego rear their ugly heads like snakes, forcing a tribal ideology on the innocent weak. Disguised in the name of religion and culture, slavery becomes a pawn in a game of chess with varying models, with the African diaspora just one of its many victims. Ultimately, both light and darkness flow from the river of love. Yet the veil of shadows, like a mist of dark clouds, hides the beauty which, like a white rose, adorns the thorns. I continue, like raging bulls, rendering evil for evil. Sometimes, like an elegant swan on a serene lake, fragments of beauty emerges, and it is right to remember, to know, to celebrate, like the foundation which heralds the Taj Mahal and the embryo, the beautiful child. The divine alchemist shapes and molds our essence until we become one with our immaculate inner luster. Let us celebrate our Black history, its resilience and fortitude. For like Mandela's childlike joy and freedom, it is yet another strand in the ever-transcendent melody of the human spirit.